Good morning, and a very, very early good morning to Nicte, which we are very excited to be joined by today. This is Adobe Live. This is the beginning of our streaming day today, and we're excited to have you guys here. We're going to be going into some creative currency, which is really exciting. How to design, support small businesses, and we're joined by Nicte Cuevas. Would you like to introduce yourself and give the people a little bit of some background about who you are as an artist?
Well, hello, buenos dias, good morning, everyone. It is super early for me. I am currently living in Hawaii, and I feel very thankful to be here. And I'm just excited to really jump in today and talk a little bit about currency and how we can get really creative with the way that we support small businesses and help them promote their services in a way that hasn't really been done. So I'm excited to dig into that. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Nicte Cuevas. I'm a brand strategist, designer, and I love helping brands bring all this chaos from disconnection from their messaging to connecting with their visuals. And how I do that is I bring a lot of color psychology and how you tap into emotions and align that with the language, the messages that we use with strategy and design. So I'm just
Wow.
excited to dig in and share a little bit about this currency journey.
You are so much better at being able to articulate your work and what you're focusing on than I ever have been.
Thank
I
you.
have a lot to learn. And so I'm really
Thank
excited to actually see your process and also learn about how we're going to support these small businesses. If you guys are tuning in on either YouTube or Behance, we are really excited to have you guys here. We are here for about the next hour or so. It is going to be a really good time. And then we have followed up by just the rest of the day. We have some more content. Um, if you are sticking around, we've also got office hours right after this. And then we also have some content over on Twitch, which is exciting for Make It Pop with some digital fashion. And then we also have On the Spot with Magdiel Lopez later in the day. But this is going to be a strong start to the day. We're really excited. And we're going to go hop over to your screen real quick, and you can tell us what we're taking a look at.
Wonderful. So let's start a little bit with getting to know me. So if you guys want to connect with me, I'm gonna bring this in a big screen over here. There is a QR code, which I did in Adobe Express, and I will share how you guys can do that as well. You can just scan that QR code and it'll take you to a page where you can connect with me. And let's now go back to Illustrator, where I'm going to show a little bit of the story behind this currency design. So this project is something that I actually am bringing back from a few decades ago when I was in college. And this was actually the design that I had done in college. And the whole purpose of it was for us to reimagine the currency or current currency within the United States and redesigning it for a purpose. And everyone had a different direction. In my direction, I wanted to feature women artists or women who had some sort of impact in our society. And one of the things that I did was that I designed these currencies to have different sizes because right now our currency is kind of hard to tell what the amount is when you just are thinking about people who don't have full sight. So I wanted to have these sizes reflect this currency. And so
Yeah.
these were kind of some of my earlier sketches. Let's zoom in a little bit because these are small, but these are sketches from back in the day as I was kind of thinking about how to go about this process. And every element in those banknotes had a connection to that woman that I had featured within each banknote. So I thought when I went back to Adobe Live, I think it was around March for Women's History Month, I believe. And this kind of re-sparked bringing back this project. And now I wanted to revisit this project in a different light on how we can be more strategic with how we promote ourselves or how we help small businesses as designers or creatives and taking an idea to a different angle.
Yeah,
So
and when you were on
here's a
Adobe Live earlier, a few months ago, whatever, you were creating them in a vertical
yes.
composition, right? Yeah, so I think
Yes.
it's interesting the way that we interact with our money. I mean, even more so now that we're going to be hopping into digital. But I
Hmm.
think over the years, it's been really interesting that something so universal as currency is still evolving, and still like the way that we kind of look at bills and we look at kind of how we exchange is more important than ever because we're
Hmm.
still looking at it. But then also just, yeah, you were even kind of changing the form factor of it, which was really interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you mentioned that too, because it is, as I was going through this, now this new rendition, it really was like, oh, this would be really great if we can have like an actual physical digital money that we can kind of bring the best of both worlds. So I will unpack that in just a moment. So
Certainly.
let me, so this was, I'm not going to go into it, but this was the original design when I was working on it in Illustrator. So the last time I did this, this is my grandma. So I wanted to feature my grandma and
Hello,
what I
Grandma.
did. Yes, mi
So
abuelita.
nice.
And what I wanted to do when I focused on this was I really wanted to connect with the impact that Hispanic and Latinos have for the GDP
Mhm.
and our contribution at that time. I was using an older stat, which was $3.5 trillion to helping how, we have that purchasing power, and now it's at 4.1. So what I wanted to do was create this currency that didn't really focus so much on famous people, but everyday people who have had an impact within their communities. So this is kind of like what stems still to the small business focus. And at that time, when I did this particular design, I actually was using Photoshop and I used several steps to create this kind of like the old currency where we have those nice textures. And now that we have Firefly, I figured out a process that makes it so much easier. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys. Now let's kind of jump into, let's go in here because I have several exciting things open. And I'm going to share with you something that we'll be creating. And bonus extra exciting thing is that I actually created a template that you guys can use to create your own designs, help promote a small business, help promote someone in your community, someone that you really kind of want to showcase what they do and empower them. So I will share that template link in a minute. But here is something that within Adobe Express and Firefly and some Illustrator, I created. So let's kind of go in here and hope that my internet is working. Perfect.
Well, as we're hopping into
So,
that, I do want to
yes.
say a quick hello to Planets Pixels, who's in the chat saying so many of your favorite vibes. And
Um,
then also, we also have Peter, we have Carol, Cody. Thank you guys for all being here. Let us know who you guys. Well, I would love to actually hear who would you guys love to have on your dollar bill if you were to create
yes.
your own currency. Would it be a relative? Would it be someone you look up to? I mean, you can look up to your relatives too, obviously.
Yeah.
But who would it be on yours? Um, and yeah, all right. Oh, sorry, back to you.
I love that. No, that's great. And that is definitely a something to be thinking about as you're navigating and doing this process. So I like to show the end result and then kind of backtrack it. And we're kind of going to work with that live. And then I'll also show how we can do this for a friend who is a local small business here in Hawaii. So here's kind of what we're going to do. This is part of that bill that you guys will get access to. And now what I did was I used a little bit of Firefly magic to create that little subtle animation, which is really great. So this kind of makes
Wow.
me think of how can we make our banknotes digital, but also still have that connection of the tactile and kind of make it more engaging. So there's this whole idea where you can kind of print this, which I actually did print a version. And the whole idea is you can use this for your small business. And we'll kind of talk about how we can not just necessarily use the amount, but it could be a discount code. It can be something that if you're doing a grand opening for this business, and use like a little QR code that people, of course, this is not going to really work so well online, but you can have them have the QR code, which we'll create in Adobe Express, and take them to the website. I know people are not going to always type in the website, so this is a really great way to just create a QR code, put it on your banknote, and then have people scan it and get taken directly to your website. So now that we see kind of one of the things that is possible, let's backtrack a little bit and we're going to go back over here to Keynote and I'm going to share with you the link. So here is the link to the banknote, and you guys can screenshot this
See if I can
and
scan it right now
be
one
able
more
to
time.
access.
All right.
And it'll take you to Adobe Express. You don't need to have the premium version, although some of the things that I will showcase do use the premium features, but you'll be able to access this template for free. And
Okay.
now let's switch back. All right, so to access that template, let me show you the magic of Adobe Express because there's so many things that I want to cover because of Adobe Express of what you can do. But one of the greatest things that I love about using Adobe Express, I'm going to bring you guys behind the scenes, is that we can now have a more strategic use of templates. So if I create a template and make any updates, I don't have to reshare the new link. It'll just automatically update that template. So I have one of these templates here that I was sharing with you. And this is what you would typically see once you open this. And now you'll see the different pages that are inside that template. And what I also included on the third page is a image prompt that I used in Firefly to kind of create that aesthetic for like the money currency that we were looking at. So you can now take this to print this the front and back and use this as a strategic way to promote the business. And to start with that template, just once you click on that, you're going to click on Use Template. It's going to open a brand new page for you. And what it's going to do is that it actually gives you the option to have quick replace. So on the far left, as soon as you open this, you will be able to click on the text and it's just going to highlight it for you where you can just start making those edits. Or you can select on each image or element that I have added on there and start to change them.
Nice
When
and
I
easy.
originally worked, yes, nice and easy. So you guys can like literally dig in and create with me if you wanted to.
You could switch it out
When I
to whoever
origin,
you want to be. And we in the chat we have Gabriella who says that it might be a reach, but they would like to see their golden retriever on a dollar bill. I'll throw up to them. And
oh, I
Carol is
love
saying
that.
Grace Hopper, which was a super chip
Yes.
breakthrough processor.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting to see what people would be to implement their own. It'd be a nice, easy switch out
Awesome.
with a quick replace.
100%. I love all the options of how you can, it's not just a person, it's someone that's close to you. I love that idea. Um, so yeah, keep those ideas coming because I think that that's a really great way to rethink currency and how we can use this in a different way, not just monetary exchange.
Right.
So once you have this template open, there's a lot of things that we can do. I'm going to really push myself to try to stay as much as possible inside Adobe Express. There are a
Hmm.
lot of things that we can do within Adobe Express now. So once you have this template open, you can start to now click on the certain elements. Once you skip that quick replace page, you won't see it, but all you need to do is just click on each area and you can start typing in that information. So I mentioned that we were going to kind of recreate that bill for one of my friends who's a small business owner here. So what we're going to do now is we are actually going to jump back and we're going to go actually to the main page. And I'm going to bring you through the process of creating a brand kit. For me, blankets are really powerful because it just allows you to stay in sync and organize with all of your assets. I don't know if anyone here in the chat has used brand kits and just loves them as much as I do, but I do feel that this is just really, really helpful, especially when you're helping clients who aren't necessarily designers or don't have the same support that you would be able to provide on the daily base. This is a really great way to set up your clients for success. So I'm gonna do a quick brand upload, and she had shared with me her logo. And what I'm going to do is there's two ways. You can do a manual setup or you can extract brand from upload. This is still in the beta phase. So what do you think, Ryan? Should we just try the beta phase and see how that works out for us?
I'm happy with either because I think both are incredibly useful.
Hmm.
And brands are something that I recently was introduced and I've been implementing into my workflow. So I think either would be
Perfect.
great.
Okay, let's try how the beta one works. So you'll get to see a little bit of my messy desktop, and I am going to look for her logo here. And here's
Okay.
one thing. So I learned with if you do the beta upload, you can't use your AI logo. So if you have like a PNG image, you can use that instead. But for now, actually, I want to do this the right way. So I'm going to do the manual setup and let's do,
Also, when you say your AI upload, just for people's clarifications
yes,
here, we're talking about Adobe
clarification.
Illustrator, not
Yes.
artificial intelligence. Is
Yes.
like now we
Thank you.
have to always kind of clarify that now, or at least these
Thank you
days.
for keeping me humble, Ryan.
No, nothing to be humble about. Just the changing landscape of communication. I also saw some
Yeah,
cool
for sure.
suggestions
Okay.
in the YouTube chat saying that it would be really cool to code the UI of digital cache to be able to create different variables for the user to choose their own themed cache, and of
Yes.
course continue to expand demographics, which I think is great because
Love
I
that.
think it is something is definitely lost with. I love the convenience of being able to tap my phone or my watch and pay for things.
Hmm.
Um, but it really is a shame to lose the kind of the art of currency.
Yeah.
And there are some like universal things that you even incorporated into yours, like the lines that are so kind of universally kind of
Mm.
placed onto bills and notes. But
Yeah.
there's definitely an art form to it, and it would be a shame
It
if we
really
lost that to
is.
digital.
And it tells a story too. I think
Hmm.
that's what, when you look at those banknotes, they'll have like these layers on layers, and it's just like a story inside all of there. So I do agree. And hopefully, this inspires a lot of us to kind of take action and reimagine currency in so many ways. I love those ideas about coding and taking it to the next level. So I'm going to click on create to start to create the brand kit. And let's see. There we go. And once that is, it's very self-explanatory. I'm not going to go through the entire process. I'm just going to go under logos and upload the logo. And we're going to go back. I'm going to upload the over here. And I do love that we can use Illustrator inside Adobe Express. And what is really nice is that once you go through this process, it'll start to pick up some of the color palettes. So we can click on Create Palette. It's going to create this for us. And it just makes our process so much easier. Then we can also go in and access, I believe it's over 30,000 fonts now in Adobe Fonts
Yep.
inside Adobe Express, which is so great.
Yep.
For me, saves a lot of money.
And saves a lot of stress is because I get to go through and I normally just like to highlight my favorites and then I like to cycle through my
Yes.
favorites, which is nice. And then it'll even
Yeah.
suggest new ones based on the ones that you favorite, which is nice. If it takes some stress off
Hmm.
of me. I know that we
100%.
talked a little bit about being able to create color palettes, and you tend to actually work a lot with like color psychology and being able to understand how color impacts a brand. Um, what is your relationship with color when you're kind of starting to create maybe something for a client? Like for this, is it something when you're going directly off of what they provide to you, or are you kind of suggesting to the client, like these are the colors that I think best suit the project?
That's such a great question. Whenever I work with a client, if it's a rebrand, I always ask what was the reasoning behind why you chose the colors. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times that I found, especially within smaller businesses, even as they're growing, is that the colors were initially chosen based on a personal preference, which is okay. If it's a personal brand, yes, absolutely, that's very connected to you. Color, our connection with color is through three ways. It's psychological, physiological, like how we feel, the reaction, and cultural. I really dig into the cultural aspect because there is so much meaning within different cultures for
Absolutely.
color, but it's also hard when you're talking about the personal connection to color. So I always try to get into that. That's one of the first things that I do is why did you choose these colors? And sometimes too, if they work with another designer, they just said this was a color that was suggested, which is great, but it's not helpful for them because there's no meaning tied to it. So what I
Right.
do when I work with clients is that I actually let's take a little sidebar and I'll show you guys what I tend to do. Um, so here is going to be a preview. Let's ignore. That's fine. Ignore. Ignore. So you guys get to see me on the live, no curated components. So a lot of the times when I work with brands, I always tie meaning to a color. And it's not just coming up with purple and yellow and blue, because my perception of purple will be different to your perception of purple or
Absolutely.
to yellow. And so it gets very tricky when you're using names with colors. And because for me, this is my personal thing, is that because I'm bilingual, sometimes a color name in English I will have no idea what that means until I see it. So I always, when I'm working with clients, part of my process in the strategy from the very beginning is addressing the color and what are the emotions that they're trying to connect with to help that and tie that meaning. So I go through this whole process of when we kind of think about their mission and their vision and who they are trying to connect with, what are their pain points and what do they want to feel? And I take all that language and then put that into, okay, here's your community that you're trying to connect with. This is what you want them to feel. This is what your brand is about. And I bring that connection. What I strongly suggest is that I know even major brands will stick to one or two color palettes, but it kind of limits the breadth of possibilities that you can do for color. And
Okay.
so, whenever you're thinking about marketing promotions or certain campaigns or a product launch, when you have a little bit more of an expanded palette with purpose, you can really use it strategically. So, what I would do with some clients is that I'll pair certain colors depending on what the product is or the purpose, and saying this, for instance, for this client we had the spiritual purple, which talked about resiliency, tranquility, and it's but that spiritual guidance. And then if they were talking about specific subject, I would pair that with, let's say, if we want them to feel tranquility, but also energy and feel nourishing, then I would do a combination between these two. So this is a really good strategic way to do that. And I did her branding and the packaging design for her teas that she was making. And so for every tea, I featured different colors that would tie to the ingredients and also tied to that meaning. So again, meaning, I always refer to the meaning and the purpose behind color.
That's
So
fantastic, and that's
I'll,
exactly what I was kind of also interested because I know that you said you're a bilingual brand strategist, right? So you're
yes.
looking at not only just like certain projects of like a redesign here and there, but you always have kind of a great macro sense of
Mhm.
the entire message of a brand entity, which is really nice.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think one of the challenges, but also I turned it into a superpower of speaking more than one language, is that sometimes I see how I get confused by the way something is explained. So I always think about how can we explain it in a way that's easier for everyone to understand. And at the same time, when we're dealing with multicultural branding or multicultural brands, I'm always adamant about if we are going to really want to celebrate this particular community, let's say we're focusing on the Hispanic market, I always make sure that we're not excluding everyone else. It's about, hey, come together. It doesn't matter if you're Hispanic or Latino, but you're welcome here. And I think that that is something so important when we're working with multicultural brands is that we still create that sense of welcomeness. And so again, that all ties into color. Here's another client where I did the same process, and each color will have a meaning tied to what it is. And this was specifically for the Hispanic community. But again, we aligned it where mi casa es tu casa, like my home is your home. Welcome, you are welcome here. So we went through that whole process. And let me see, I'll show another one. I did a redesign for a Creative Pro Network, which they do a lot of great presentations, summits online as well, tailored to creative designers. So we really went deep into how does every single element in this brand come together from the colors that we use and how that ties into their icon. And we kind of created this transition where they went from the passion and then the joy of being a creative, then with the energetic blue that they started to feel more confident. So it's kind of going around counterclockwise in this icon, and then they reach growth as they're learning more, and then they feel like now they can lead. So,
Right.
excuse me, it kind of goes through that process. My approach with design is always there's an intention. Why are we doing this? Why am I placing this dot over here? Because it all is communication for us. And I think sometimes we miss that. So when it comes to how we pair colors, I do I do what we call is the interaction of color, which is inspired a lot by the work of Joseph Albers. And what he would do is he would not just focus on the color itself, it's how the colors interacted. So how you
And
pair certain colors will shift with the interaction.
I love being able to like get into the nitty gritty with it. We kind of have a question that goes along with that too.
Yeah.
Also, hello to Emily and Drew. Thank you guys for coming in. Gabriella is saying, how would you go about working with your clients on choosing better colors for their project if they initially didn't choose the best colors according to color psychology? Which I think lines up a lot with kind of what you're saying here.
Yes, 100%. So there's two things that you can do. And this is this is the logo that my friend shared with me. And then these were kind of her colors. And I was asking her, why did you choose these colors? What meaning does it hold for you? How does it align with what you're trying to do? And it's a lot about for her grounding the possibility of expansion with the blues that she was trying to use. And she didn't necessarily have purples, but there is that sense of spirituality and connection. So, what I tend to do is when I find clients that have a palette and I see there's more possibilities, I tend to showcase what it could be. So, whenever you're doing the brand presentation for them, you need to start first with what is their mission? Again, getting deep into why they chose what they chose, because you
Right.
need to be able to acknowledge that. But then you can say, hey, if you're trying to connect with this market and this audience, and you want your brand to be associated with these emotions, if we try these palettes out or these color combinations, you'll have a higher chance of connecting with your audience because this color means this color means this. And when we bring them together, it'll create this emotion.
Through the
What
brand
tends to
strategy,
happen?
taking from a business approach from it rather than just like I like purple, like being like
Yes,
this is a business analytical approach for you, which I
yes,
feel like works well for clients.
it really does. And they are a lot more receptive to be able to switch the colors. It helps them
Yeah,
see, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And 9 out of 10 times, I've been able to convince the client to explore that. And it might just be we add a couple of colors to their palette to support that. So, I'm going to give you guys, I think we could probably just spend an entire live talking about this whole process of how we use color psychology. But when you narrow it down to the colors that they have, one of the things that we tend to do as designers is we'll just focus on, hey, this is their color palette is just, let's say these colors, and that's it. But when the client goes to create something for themselves, they may take this purple background and then maybe put this brown as a text, and it's not legible. So we need to be able to kind of foresee some of these things and help our clients. So what I tend to do is I tend to kind of create this step down and effect of these colors. So I know once we select a color, we can go into our color panel here and we can kind of use the color guide. Once you click on that, it'll kind of give you the step down. So if I want to have, let's just do this real quick, a lighter value and then a darker value, this
this
is
is
a great
actually
way to
a
start to
direct
work.
response to Othman because Othman said, "Did you use the color wheel when you combine color together?" But it's cool that you immediately here in the color guide just have your shades and tints.
Yeah. And I think it's when you try this process, go what feels best for you. For me, this sometimes is a good starting point, but what I tend to do is there's a little trick to create more harmonious color palettes, not just based on the eye. it's based on some of their values. So what I tend to do is I'm gonna actually go back to here. When I have kind of these step down color processes and I want the palette to feel a little bit more aligned, what I'll do is I'll select, let's say, this lighter tint value, and we're going to go to the color panel, and I'm going to make sure that I have HSB selected. And if you don't have that, you can go under your options here and select HSB. And
Great.
once I have that, then I'll start to look. So it's hue, saturation, and blackness. And this is a really great way to create harmony between your color palettes. So what I tend to do is I'll look at either the saturation number and the blackness number, and I'll go into the next color and I want to adjust just one of those values. So I'll adjust the blackness to match a little bit more of that color. And I had done this for the other ones. And let's go in and do that. So this little subtle change will actually create a lot more harmony between your color palette. And so this is something that I highly recommend. And then quickly over here, this is where I start to, once I have the colors, I start to do my experimentation with how the colors interact. So I tend to think about the middle being my key color, so my lead emotion color, what you want the brand to stand out for, what you want people to recognize a brand for. I tend to put that in the middle. And then here on the side, I can start to pull from my other colors and kind of see how it starts to interact as I change the colors. Here's where I can see if I put these two colors together, it's not going to be really great. It doesn't have enough contrast. And this is a really great way to start to now foresee so that when you provide the brand guidelines for your clients, you can tell them, avoid combining this color with this or have more contrast. And if you need to create more tints and shades for them. So this is a process that takes me a good minute to outline, but it really helps you with your clients to define that and how they use color.
And how many
So
variables they can kind of navigate also, because when you're designing for
yes,
brands, you're designing for scale, because you're not just designing for the one takeoff. You want to do it for many different activations. We're about
a hundred.
halfway through our show. If you guys are just
So
joining us, we are really excited to be joined by Nicte Cuevas, and we are right now going over some creative currency designs that support small businesses. This is part of the beginning stream of today. We have plenty coming up later today as well. We have office hours right after this, and we also have Make It Pop over on Twitch and On the Spot over on Twitch later today. But we're still here for about another 20 minutes or so. And so we're going right now through a bunch of different stuff. We're going through colors, we're going through currency, lots to watch. So if you didn't catch the beginning, you can always catch the replay. And we're excited to have you here. Make sure you have any questions or comments, you throw them in chat, and I will pass them along.
Thank you. So I did a little bit of cheating because I knew there's so much we wanted to cover. And I started to pre-design using that same template, some of the currency for her. So once I had my brand kit, you can access your brand over here on brand, search for that brand that you want. And you can even use, once it works, let me see. Oh, I broke my internet. You see, I'm pushing the leaps and
Pushing
bounds.
boundaries.
This tends to happen to me. So, oh, here we go. So once you find the brand that you want to use, you can quickly apply your brand. So any fonts, colors will make it really easy for you to navigate. But one of the great things that I do like is that you can recolor graphics. So any of the graphics that I had inside the original banknote template, you can click on recolor and it'll recolor it to your brand kit. I'm not going to do that for now because I cheated a little bit and I
Yeah,
added some of this information. Um,
I love it.
so I'm keeping myself humble and being honest. But what I ended up doing was I uploaded an image that she shared and I removed the background so that I had this nice flow. But I wanted to create that nice little currency texture. So what I did was I went into Firefly. So this is where I will showcase how this looks like, and we're gonna probably get different renderings, but I did include the prompt. So I tried that out with myself, which is then eventually where I got the video. And then I had the starting point for her. So let's just try this out live again and see what we get. So what I would do is copy that prompt that I included on the third page of the template, and then you can go into Firefly. I went into Firefly boards because it just allows me to see a lot more. And I selected her image. Then I'm going to go into generate image. I want to make sure that the image is selected over here. Otherwise, I'll get a random person, which I
Yeah.
learned by trial and effort. And I'm going to repaste that and click on generate. Again, it's going to be different renderings every time. What I try to do with a prompt is that I try to make it where it'll create a transparent background or at least show up on white so that you can remove the background really easily. And then it may take a few moments
And
depending
then,
on how
as we're
much
kind of
I,
waiting for that too, just as a question for you, after this stream, would you
yeah.
mind sharing this prompt and I can throw it in the Discord?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Great.
100%.
And then you guys can just join the Adobe Live list Discord. I'll put it under the In Studio channel. But if you guys want to be able to use it, it'll be right here for this. Convert this photo into a currency style portrait, and has a bunch of descriptors too for intricate line work and cross hatching to get this effect on your own work. Also, hello to Jack. Welcome to this. Welcome to this stream.
Hello. So here's kind of what, like I said, every time we get something different, which is, I kind of like just the effect in itself. So
Yeah,
you could even
absolutely.
take this and start to animate it. So I really love that because designing this from scratch would have taken me a long time.
Yeah,
So
no kidding.
this is really, really great. Again, you get different renderings, different options. So what we're going to do is, since I already had one here, let's move this here for now, and we're gonna just add another board. Let's add another board. I'm trying to work with the time here. Okay, and now let's see if this works. So I also added a prompt for the video to kind of have this animation,
Hmm.
and I will
And
share
this is
that
when you
as
kind of
well
brought
with
it
you
to
guys.
life to have this kind of like side head
Yes,
swivel, um,
that.
kind of sorcery, kind of magic vibe to it that we saw in the
Yeah.
movies.
Yes, 100%. So I don't know, this one might take a little bit longer. So while we wait for it to render, we might jump back into Adobe Express. So I'm gonna paste that. I wanted to generate the Firefly video, and I did learn I wanted to make sure that I gave it some aspect ratio. I switched to portrait just because I wanted to get it as close as vertical as possible. And we're gonna click on generate. I don't know how it's going to come out. That's why I had the other cheater mode where I had some of these designs. But let's kind of go back to this design here, because what I did was I switched from her image, which looked really great. It kind of felt that nice connection. But then I added that image that we got from Firefly.
It feels
So
more
it
cohesive.
starts to Yes, definitely. It just and the only thing where I wouldn't suggest so much or being very strategic is whenever you're using their logos, you want to make sure that you're honoring how they've set their standards. So
Yeah,
this is the one that I kind of kept as is, but
of
we can
course.
go in and start to do the same. We probably don't have the time to, but we can do the same process for the image with let's see, once it renders, I'll try that out with some of the other images that she shared with me. So
Yeah.
one of the great things that I love to push the boundaries of how can I use Express with Illustrator, Photoshop, and other apps because now they're really working well together. And one of the
Absolutely.
great things too is that as you're working with templates, we'll take a little fun sidebar that we can actually now access Adobe Express templates inside Photoshop, InDesign, and I know with
Yes.
Illustrator it's coming very soon, which is amazing. I really feel that this is a really great way for if you're hitting a creative block or you're wanting to collaborate with your team, being able to use templates inside Adobe Express now within the whole ecosystem is
Yeah.
incredible. So when you open your Photoshop and even InDesign, because I've seen it too, and now Illustrator coming soon, you click on templates. It's going to bring up this pop-up window and it's going to give you some preview of some templates inside Adobe Express, and you can start to kind of search. You can also filter your search over here from this side panel. And I'm going to go into social post because there was one that I really liked. So once you find the template that you like, you just click on that. It's going to give you the prompt to edit in Adobe Express. It's going to do its magic. open the template for you and you can start applying your brand kit, adding your colors, and we're going to close this for this moment. And it's going to allow you now to go in and edit. So the reason why I opened this one was because I'm going to delete this text over here and this image over here. So what I want to do is let's pretend that this bill is ready to go. And we're going to click on download.
Also, hello to Miss Melanie, who says, "Good morning, everyone from Los Angeles. Good to see you again. Always nice to see you
Good
in the chat.
morning.
Hope everyone's having a great day." Miss Melanie, if you were to create your own currency, who would you put on it? We asked that a little bit earlier in the stream today, but we'd love to also get your take on this. Right now, we're taking a piece of banknote that we made and putting it into a social post between all of the Creative Cloud. We hopped into Photoshop. We hired Express. We used some Firefly boards, using the whole gambit of tools at our disposal, which is really nice.
Love that. Okay, so my idea was to place this bill here and this little background, I thought they were separate. So I'm going to show you
Mm.
guys if you ever want to do this little tape effect under elements over here on the far left in Adobe Express, you can look for, let's say, tape, and you can search all the elements that they have here, but you can also define it under design assets, backgrounds, shapes, icons, and a lot more. So I found one over here that I can use. You can click on it and it should add it to your design over here. And it might not be adding it to me for me. There we go. Okay, this one
There you
worked.
go.
And then if it's black, here's a little hack. If it's a shape, you can easily change it to one of your brand kit colors. So let's switch it
Nice.
to that for her brand kit. But if it isn't, if it's just like an image, what I would do is just use a duotone and you can switch the same exact color for the duotone, and then you'll be able to switch it to your brand color.
Oh,
So
nice little
one of
hack
the
there.
things that, yeah, right? Um, one of the things I'm like trying to go super fast to
You're
try
doing
and give
great.
you guys as
We
much.
got about 10 minutes
Uh,
left, and you're killing it. We've already learned so much, so we are at a net positive no matter where we land.
Perfect. So here's where it comes handy having all these different color palettes. I did not add those colors to the brand kit. Oh, here are our tape.
It's
Yes.
like tape, 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 tape.
It was a surprise factor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go in. Let's go back to swatches. Let's see. Sometimes we'll get recommended colors, which are kind of nice to work with, but this is the perfect reason why I like to have my colors set because then I am not eye dropping everything. So
Right.
let's do something. We're gonna do uh, let's see. I don't suggest doing this all the time, but there's actually, if we don't have time to cover this, but I do have some videos on YouTube where I show how you can use your libraries or even your brand kits to add your brand colors. So for instance, this is actually my own. I have too many libraries, so I don't know if it'll load hers. Here we go. If I wanted to add more color themes, I have her brand kit open, which we did in Express. It's showing up in Illustrator. This is why I love this so much. And I can just add this fill color and it's going to add it as a color. Now, if I, in theory, when I don't break the internet, when we go back in here, and we try to go to the swatches and her brand kit, it should, in theory, add that color. Sometimes it'll take a moment or it'll showcase as like additional more colors under the brand.
Just as it
And
reloads.
that's a way to easily add colors. So especially when we have so many colors like I had over here, this is a great way to do that. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to do the old school way. I'm going to copy the value and we're going to go back. And we're going to go here, change the background. We're going to go to custom, paste the color. All right, this is not really the combination that I wanted, but this is where that testing how the colors interact is so important. Let me do one tweak. This is color, and I'm like trying to find my balance of not being too picky about it because I want to show, let's just say, hey, I'm happy with this. This is going good. And now we want to, okay, one more. Let's pick this. All right.
The
This
true
is gonna
curse of a
bother me.
designer.
I know. Um, so one of the great things about Adobe Express is that we can do easy animation. So if we click at the very top over here, we'll open a panel that says Animate All, or you can go in and select each individual area to make an animation. I'm going to click on popping, and what it's going to do is Adobe Express does its magic, and now you see,
Wow.
boom, 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 it animated things for me. Let's click play again. And now I see this timeline over here on the bottom. So I can
Great.
always go in and adjust the animation, add another blank screen, or duplicate this. Sometimes I duplicate this so that I can kind of recycle the same animation over and over. And if you wanted to go in and make adjustments, if you click on the panel, let's see if this is, here we go. So
Does it
now
show you
this is
all the
on
layers?
beta.
Nice. I'm so
You
happy
can
this is
see
a new
all
feature.
the layers. Oh my gosh, yes, this has been a game changer because I like to add a lot of text sometimes on some of the animations, so this is a lot easier. So when you toggle that on, again, we go over here, now it's all layers, or you could have the selected layer or scene view. I like this new feature. And then you can start to click on them and it'll showcase whatever area is working. So here, what I am seeing, it's not just the element by itself, it's a grouped element. So this is
Hmm.
why it looks slightly different versus when you see a little preview of what it is, it's because I haven't grouped it. So if you
Great.
see that, that means that it's grouped and likely it'll group as an animation together, which is really great. So I'm going to close this for now, but this is a really great way for you to showcase. You've seen probably those posts online where it's how to support a small business owner, especially with Q4. And we have the Small Business Saturday and Black Friday, all of these deals. I always see those posts, how to support a small business owner. So let's say in for this bill, if we had redesigned it for her to, let's say she was running a special for some of the sound baths that she does outdoors, which
Hmm.
are incredible. I've done it and I
Yeah, no,
highly
I would like
recommend
to
it.
go for a sound bath.
She does them online too.
That's
So
cool.
here is her website, Harmony Sound Healing Honolulu. She does do this online and I highly recommend it. I feel like I come out feeling far more creative when she does these sessions. So it's really, really great. And let's see if my sound works, but she does have a preview of her and it's not gonna work.
Oh,
Okay.
no,
Well, there
no
is a
dice.
preview of some of her sound on on that. So let's kind of
How
go
did that,
back. Here
did
we
we
go.
ever get that Firefly video, by the way?
Let's go. Oh, thank you for
Let's see.
keeping me
Where's that?
humble.
There
Oh,
it is.
here we go. I
Oh,
did something. I didn't select the image.
oh,
So we
right, because we
have
had to do the
a
in the
red.
first frame and the last frame. But that said, it's
Yep,
interesting to be able to see the animation, to be able to see that it still is within the wheelhouse of what you instructed it to do. It just didn't necessarily have
the right person.
the right person for the information.
So let's see. I'm still, oh, you know what? Maybe we'll do this in, let's see. How did I do this last time? Nope.
Yeah, I think you have to
There
do
you
your
go.
first frame and last frame.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh wait,
Okay.
also do the last frame, I think, as well. Oh,
Oh,
well,
we
it
do the
depends if
last
you
one.
want her to go back to what she is at, or if you want it to end on a different, like if you
I
want it to
like when
loop or
she
not.
kind of ends. Oh, well, let's no, let's keep her. Let's keep her like this.
Oh,
We'll
maybe it
see.
only does the first
Okay,
one.
we'll
Yeah, yeah.
generate and let's see what that comes up with. That'll give me enough time to kind of go back to this other part. So, guys, I'm jumping around, but there's so much I can cover that I'm like, my time. All right, so we learned how to do these quick animations. Now, what happens when we add video? There's a really great way for us to add even more animation. So I'm going to click on Edit Timeline because I want to show you guys what this is. So she sent me a video of her doing some of her sound baths outdoor here.
Hmm.
And what I did, I don't think you can hear it. You can hear the sound, right? Because it's probably
No,
playing on my, yeah, because it's playing on my my headphones. Let's see. If I take off my headphones and play it, would it work?
probably not. We'd probably have to stop your share and restart your share. So we'll just
Okay, we're
imagine
good.
it for it now.
We're good. Okay, so I really highly recommend going to her website, checking it out because you can hear some sound samples.
Hmm.
So in this video, let's just imagine that we're hearing her playing the crystals and you kind of hear her playing the crystals. And what I ended up doing was that the original video that she shared with me, I'm afraid to, let's see, copy paste this just in case, was, let's undo it. It was like this. and it
Right.
had now this nice beautiful view, but because I wanted to add it on the bottom of the build to kind of add that nice back interaction, what I did was I removed background in Adobe Express. The longer your video is, the longer it'll take, and the more details can take a
Of
little
course.
longer.
Has to do some more
So
processing.
yes, so I cheated as per usual. And I did this ahead of time. And it actually does a pretty great job. I have curly hair and I've really tested to how great it does that with curly hair. And it actually does a really great job. So I kind of like that for the back side because I wanted people to get a preview of what she did. And I mentioned doing a QR code. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go here. We're going to copy paste her website. I'm going to close this just because I have so much internet
Yeah.
usage. And we're going to go over here to the main page in Adobe Express. And I like to go under quick actions and it should show up here. There
There
we
it
go.
is.
Generate QR code. Ta-da! So we're going to go in, we paste her website. Let's just create this. And then you can customize the colors, but I'm going to show you guys a quick hack on how you can customize it to any of your brand colors. Let's just kind of pick a few of these. And what we can do is you can download it so you can have it handy or open in editor. So I'm going to open in editor. Now I have my QR code. We are going to copy paste that onto this design. Uh-oh, let's see. Um, Here I am breaking the internet again. Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's say while it's loading, if that doesn't work.
Yeah, because
All
we got
right,
about like
well, we're
two
gonna
minutes
stick here.
left.
Perfect. Okay, that should give me enough time to showcase. When you do that, have that selected, go into effects, go to duotone, and then you're just gonna make sure that you select the same color just for shadows. And then that's how you can switch out to having a branded QR code that you can use for your design. And it did kind of work. And then you can go ahead and copy paste that, add that into the design
And
over
then you have a
here.
nice QR
It's gonna
code.
take a minute. And now you can use that QR code to take them directly to their website. So this is a really great way for when we can add the website in. It's harder when it's digital to use
Hmm.
vertical text, not as accessible. But if you're printing this, this is really great. And let's see. Oh, let's see. I think we
Oh,
have
it
enough
looks like it
time to just
worked.
at least showcase. Let's see. All right, let's play.
Oh, wow. It even did like a cool thing with the
Oh,
back. That's nice.
that is beautiful. Yeah, you
Yeah.
see? Yeah, I'm glad I pressed re-render.
Yeah.
So I know we covered a lot. There's a lot to cover, but I really hope that you guys try that out. Use the template. On the third page of the template, I think I deleted it, but I did paste those prompts as well. Ryan, I will share those prompts with you so
Yeah.
that we can share them on the Discord community. But ooh, we covered
Great.
a lot. Thank you
Wow, we
guys
flew
so
through
much for
so much.
having
Thank
me.
you so much for walking us through all of that. I mean, I know it was a bit of a sprint, but I mean that's also the beauty of it. Looked at Firefly boards, looked at Firefly. We were in Express, we were in Photoshop, we were in Illustrator. So thank you so much. I know you mentioned that you have a video walking through some of the colors on your YouTube. Where can we find you online?
Um, Perfect. Great question. You can look for me on YouTube at Nicte Creative Design. If you find my name, you'll likely find me. I have a not so common name. Or you can check out my website at nictecreativedesign.com. And I live on a lot on LinkedIn. So if you connect with me on LinkedIn, Nicte Cuevas, I can share some more direct links with you guys. And if there's any questions, I know I covered a lot that you guys had, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer and share any tips, especially when you guys are dealing with color psychology and how to navigate that with clients. I do have a couple courses that help, and I'm happy to unlock a few of them for you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. And I appreciate you contributing to the community so much. If you guys are watching live, thanks for being here. Thank you to everyone that said hello in the chat from Planet Pixels and Peter, Melanie, Drew. We do have a new show coming up right after this, which is Office Hours. I mean, not a new type of show, but a new episode of Office Hours. So if you stick around on YouTube or Behance, it'll kick you right over there. And then we have Twitch coming up on later today. Make sure you guys join that Discord. It has the schedule, it has conversations, it has resources. Like I said, we'll have some of the prompts and other links to maybe like the template right available on the Discord. But make sure you guys stick here on Adobe Live for some great new content. Thank you again to Nicte. It was really wonderful walking through everything, and looking forward to having you back on in the future.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
Have a
Gracias.
great start to your day. I know it's 7 a.m. for you, so thank you again for
I
being here
know.
between 6 a.m. and 7. That's really fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Bye.